welcome to Bryer's Music Showcase. I'm Bryer and welcome back to another video. So now we've reached 1987 in my 80s series where I go through every year throughout the decade and name my top 5 favorite albums. So 1987, another pretty good solid year of music, I must say. So it was actually another one of those years where it was actually kind of tough naming my top 5. But I'm pretty happy of what I got here, so I'm going to go through these. But before, let me just quickly remind you that this is all my opinion. If you don't see an album that you love throughout in this year, then please remember that I'm only restricted to what I have in my collection. So if you don't see it, it's either one, I don't have it, or I just didn't like it. Probably the first option. But regardless, without further ado, let's do this. But don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe if you are new. And now, let's get on to the list. To start us off with my number 5, here is a band. I'm not sure how many people know them, but if you're in Australia, I'm sure that this band is huge there. So the band is Midnight Oil, and this one is Diesel and Dust. So I can't remember what number in their discography this is, but this is definitely one of their later albums, kind of the mid-period, I would say, I guess. And this is probably their most commercially successful album, because I know the first song, Beds Are Burning, was their biggest hit here in the United States. They were, again, like I said before, they were only really big in Australia. They didn't really make a huge impact here, but I'm very happy to have discovered this band. People in the VC have mentioned them a few times, and I was always kind of interested in them. And I knew Beds Are Burning, surprisingly, so I was kind of really looking forward to giving this album a listen, and it did not disappoint. Just a great album here. It's kind of like an alternative rock. I can't really decide what type of rock this is, but to keep it simple, let's just say it's just good old 80s rock music. So it's very good, and the lead singer, Peter Garrett, just a very cool singer. He has a very unique style that I have never heard before. It's very unique to him, and lyrically it's very much involved in a lot of politics. Midnight Oil were very politically active, especially Peter Garrett, who I would later learn that he would become I can't remember what they call them there in Australia, but a congressman. So that's kind of interesting that that lead singer of a rock band would go on to actually have a seat in Congress in Australia. So that's kind of interesting. But he would later, once his term was done, he went back to the band, and the band's still going to this day. So let's go ahead. Let's look on the inside. Oh, but first let's go through the track listing. It's going to be hard because if you see on the back, it's very hard to read. So let me see if the disc, okay, the disc has it more clearly. So I already said Beds Are Burning is very good, great opening track. Put Down the Weapon, Dream World, Arctic World, and I'm going to see if I can pronounce it correctly, but Warakurana, something like that. I'm not going to try that again. You have Bull Roarer, Sell My Soul, and there's countless other songs here, but it's just a very great, very strong album. I really enjoy this one. Let's just go ahead. Let's look at the booklet, as I usually do in these episodes. So here's what it looks like. You have the lyrics, of course, and the track listing there. Okay. Not much to say on the inside. Okay, here's some I'm trying to remember how you describe them. Indigenous children here. All right, there you go. There's what the back looks like. So if you've not heard of Midnight Oil, I really suggest you check them out. I have 3 albums by this band. I have this album, Blue Sky Mining, and I have 10-9-8-7-6-5-4-3-2-1. That's a mouthful, but I think this is probably a good one to start with. So yeah, go ahead and check it out if you haven't heard it yet. Now, when we think the 80s, we don't normally think of progressive rock, but for my number 4, I have just that. So we have Marillion with Clutching at Straws. So I haven't heard that much from Marillion, but so far this is my favorite one. I just absolutely love it musically, and the lead singer Fish has a very Peter Gabriel-esque vocal style that I really enjoy. And it's this is pretty much a concept album. So by this point, Fish was kind of feeling disillusioned by being in a band. I think his marriage, I can't remember if he was married or his girlfriend, but his relationship at home was definitely collapsing, and so the song is kind of all revolved around his feelings. You can hear the sadness, you can hear some anger throughout it. It just has a great emotional pull throughout this whole album, which is very nice. I really enjoy it. So again, there's the cover, very cool. And it goes without saying, this is the last album Fish would sing on before he would leave and go solo. But the band's still going to this day. They have Steve Hogarth as their current lead singer, and they've been doing great for a long time. I've not heard anything from the Steve Hogarth era yet, but definitely am willing to give it a listen at some point. But I'm very happy with what I've heard with the Fish era. So if you open it up, you have some, yes, I don't know, martinis? I don't know what they're called. I don't drink, so I have no idea what these drinks are called. So let's get a closer look at the disc. So that's what it looks like here, and on the inside you have this little image. Then let's go ahead, let's quickly go to the booklet. So you have photos of the band at that time. Some really interesting imagery. Don't know if it's crying blood or wine or whatnot. So if you love like Genesis, like 70s Genesis, I suggest give Marillion a shot, especially this period. Just goes to show that prog was not dead, in the 80s at least. So the lineup here is Fish on lead vocals, Steve Rothery on guitars, Pete Terwavas on bass and vocals, then Mark Kelly on keyboards, and Ian Mosley on drums and percussion. So I'm not going to say much because I could go over the track listing, but I feel like I'd be spoiling I'm going to be spoiling this album if you haven't heard already, because it definitely is a terrific, very good album. And I must say the last track, which is The Last Straw / Happy Ending, man, what a great closing song that is. Love it. So yeah, that's going to be my number 4, Marillion, Clutching at Straws. From this point on, my top 3 are probably the most well-known albums from this year, but they're up there for a reason. So to start it off with my number 3, I have The Joshua Tree by U2. This is the first U2 album I've heard, and it still remains my favorite to this day. Just a wonderful, I just love how it sounds. The production on here is so good. The Edge has that iconic guitar tone he's known for, just how he puts the effects in. Again, it's not like the Edge is not like a shredder or anything. He's never been a shredder, but just the textures he puts into the songs just really gives it a nice touch, And of course Bono, say what you want about him, but by this point he still has a great voice. I really do enjoy his voice. It's probably not for everybody, but to me, I really enjoy it. And the rhythm section by Adam Clayton and Larry Mullen Jr., just a great rhythm section, just so tight, just knowing when to lock in with each other. Just some great standouts. Of course, side 1 has a lot of the hits on it. You have Where the Streets Have No Name, I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, and With or Without You, my favorite U2 song, honestly. Just love that one. Then you have Bullet the Blue Sky and Running to Stand Still. So the first half is just all great songs. And some people have said this album is kind of front loaded, and I wouldn't argue with that. It's kind of true because the rest of the album is kind of more the deeper cuts. But even that, there's still some nice songs here like Red Hill Mining Town, In God's Country, One Tree Hill, Mothers of the Disappeared. Yeah, it's still a terrific album. So it's number 3, so that tells you. So here's what the disc looks like. Just a little Joshua Tree there. Not much to say on the inside, it's just black. Now this is a thick book list. We got a lot to get through. So of course you have photos of the band here. Some information here, a little history lesson, if you will. Because it's long, I'm going to go through this quickly because we still have 2 more albums to talk about. Then we have the lyrics here. Of course, I guess the reason this album came to be is that Bono really started getting kind of, I guess, obsessed over America. Just really wanted to tap into the American sound. So you have lots of, I mean, throughout the, I guess the second half mostly, you have a lot of like taking influence by Western, a little bit of Americana, some roots rock. There you go, last page here. All right, so there it is. That is my number 3. I did a short on this album not that long ago, and the title was "People Seem to Be Sick of This Album. What do you think?" If you remember, then that album in question was Hysteria by Def Leppard, which is my number 2. So this was the massive hit album by them. I mean, this was huge from what I've gathered. I know my mom was very big on this album. She saw them on tour. I mean, thanks to her, that's why I have this at number 2 on my 1987 list. But yeah, I get that a lot of hardcore, hard rock and metal guys really look down on this album, saying, oh, they sold out, all those songs are so overplayed, they're not that good, Def Leppard's weak now. But, you know, it's still a good album. It still sold well. And again, it does come down to your preference, but to me, this is their last, this was truly their last great album. Everything after this was kind of like, not quite up to that standard. But I still really love this album. Very nostalgic for it. I mean, it has Woman, Rocket, Animal, Love Bites, which is surprisingly their only number 1 hit here. That's kind of surprising. But of course, he has Pour Some Sugar on Me, which again, that's another one of those songs that people either love or hate or entirely sick of. I still enjoy it today. Armageddon It, Gods of War. What a great song God of War is. Don't get confused with the video game franchise. But anyhow, Don't Shoot Shotgun. Run Right's pretty good. Hysteria, which is probably my favorite song on the album. Just a great little calming song. Excitable. Then it closes out with Love and Affection. Yeah, just a great, it's a long album. I think this is pretty much a double length album, basically. But I don't care. The length does not bother me. And of course, by this point, Rick Allen, the drummer, had lost his arm. So he kind of had to use a kind of a mixture of standard drums but electric drums as well. But yeah, just a great inspirational story. Just wanted to throw in because it's kind of a part of the history of this album. And this was like, I mean, the last Def Leppard album was Pyromania, which was 1983. So there was like 4-year gap. So people were kind of questioning, does Def Leppard even still matter anymore at that point? Because at that, I mean, it's not like today where artists can take years to release another album. I mean, back then, like, you had to constantly put out an album very frequently just so you don't leave the limelight. But Def Leppard showed that, you know, even after 4 years, they can still make it big, and they really made it big on this one. So that is my number 2, Hysteria by Def Leppard. So before we get to my number 1, let's show some honorable mentions.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies. Oh,
And for my number one pick, what better album to top this list than the album that was named after this year? We have Whitesnake. So technically it's called just Whitesnake, but because it came out in 1987, that's what we call it now. So yeah, so even says so on the back here. So yeah, there it is. So you can never forget. So this album was huge. This was basically their breakthrough album. I mean, they started getting more traction with Slide It In, but when this one came out, it just exploded. It's heavy. I mean, David Coverdale he just kills it on this album. Some of my favorite vocals are on this album. And then John Sykes on here, just killing it on the guitar. Just what a really underrated player. Just so many great riffs on here. Like I said, it's metallic, it's heavy. To some, this was kind of a sellout, especially if you were a fan of the earlier stuff. But, I don't care. But yeah, I just love this album. Like, this was kind of a grower album. Like, I thought it was okay on first listen, but the more I've been playing it, the more I love it. I mean, I believe, like, the track listing was different if you were from between the UK and the US for some reason. But I think what I have here might be the UK track listing. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but on it starts out with Still the Night, just great opening track. I love that song. Then you have Give Me All Your Love, Bad Boys, Is This Love, which was the ballad, but again, sucker for ballads. Then you have the big hit, Here I Go Again, which is actually the second version of the song. The original was on Saints and Sinners from 1982. Yeah, 1982. But they redid it for this album, and again, that one was the big hit. Straight for the Heart, Looking for Love, Dream of the Night, You're Gonna Break My Heart Again, Crying in the Rain, then it finishes out with Don't Run Away. Just all killer, no filler for me. Again, some people might not like the ballads, but to me, I love ballads. So take it that for what you will. But it also has that pretty recognizable cover. It's like a little stamp, I think. So let's open it up. And this is a 30th anniversary edition. So this came out in 2017. And there's the back of the booklet. So let's take it out and see what's inside. Actually, let's take the whole thing. Let's take the disc out and then see the inside. So it just kind of fits the whole, I guess, marble, like whatever substance it's supposed to look like. Concrete. So here you have the track listing. Then you have, looks like what the singles look like, the covers of them. So the lineup at this point, because Whitesnake is known for constantly changing lineups, but of course you have David Coverdale on vocals, John Sykes on guitar, Neil Murray on bass, and Ainsley Dunbar on drums. So that's the last page. Kind of disappointing for a 30th anniversary. You think they put more stuff in the booklet, but oh well, I guess not. So yeah, my number one for 1987, Whitesnake self-titled album, or just 1987. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 albums of 1987. Stay tuned, because next up we have 1988, which I'll admit probably my least favorite year of that decade. I'll explain more when that happens, but until then, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, comment below some of your favorite albums from this year, and until then, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and goodbye for now.